It's been some time since I sat in this sim rig, and today we have something quite well, basically an upgrade from their past models. This is the MOZA Racing R21 Ultra wheelbase, and to be honest, has a different shape. It has RGB lights. Should it show lights to your liking or whatever you wish to place, or it actually shows the RPM indicator. But to be honest, regarding those LEDs, you won't be able to see them because, well, the wheel is right in front of those. So when you take a look over here, you have two, one on the left and one on the right. And that's basically it. Of course, in Moza Pit House, you can adjust everything regarding that. So yeah, but the LED lights are just something additional to the whole thing and everything all together. So we're not gonna dwell too much into that. Let's move forward. So it has 21 newton meters of torque, which is, well, basically the strongest that I driven was 16, and that was R16. And the interesting part is it's a completely different shape than the R16 and R21 from the past gen. So here we have a possibility to mount the wheelbase from the bottom, from the side, and, well, basically from the front. Now, taking into consideration that I use this F1 Experience playseat sim rig, and you have this plate which is, I would say, 1 centimeter thick. You can't use the original screws that you get with the base to tie it up because the screws are actually 1 centimeter. So you do need something a bit longer. Now, when we take into comparison the R16, R21 V2 or the past generation compared to this one, and going back at the connection type, of course, you have regular USB to connect to your PC. You have the power adapter, which also connects at the backside of your R21 Ultra, and you have gear shifter, handbrake, pedals, and e-brake. So basically, the connection type is the same, and honestly, I don't think they have to add anything else to it. Now let's talk about some details that you need to know about the R21 Ultra, and then we're going to go quickly through the Moza Pit House and what you can expect here. So sustained 21 newton meters of torque output, CNC machined aluminum housing, which is basically the same on almost every single one of their base. Then we have 21-bit magnetic encoder, high-density flat wire motor. We're having ultra-low cogging torque, 600 megahertz high-performance CPU, refined the design with RGB customization, and cloud-based app configuration. Now, all these 8 features are basically something that they placed as something that needs to be stand out, right? Now, this is their latest flagship direct drive wheelbase lineup, which is powered by industrial grade motor, which delivers 21 newton meters of torque without throttling, which can extend the endurance sessions. Now, if we go with the magnetic encoder with 600 megahertz processor, we're having 21-bit high-resolution magnetic encoder, which in those terms R21 delivers over 2 million points of precision. This is important because this way it captures every steering input and surface detail with outstanding accuracy. And I can actually say that is true because I went and I didn't go with newer games. I went with the game that I played the most, not recently, but when I did play regularly and drive on my sim rig, that some bits in certain games are definitely different on this one. And before I didn't notice them, or the base didn't even respond to those parts, like braking in front of the corner in certain scenarios. I'm not saying literally in every scenario. I'm just saying this base compared to the R16 and R16 V2 is completely different, and it gives better, I wouldn't say immersion, but you know what I'm trying to say in this scenario. Now, if you remember when I was talking about older Moza bases, and if you watch those videos, in those terms I did mention that Moza bases don't heat up, at least not that much. They do get warm, but nothing in drastically, to stop working or anything similar to that. In this scenario, they improved cooling with the R21 Ultra, and they did it quite nicely because even after driving for quite some time, it still is lukewarm. Just on the touch you can feel it a bit, and that's really good because you won't get any scenarios while having problems with overheating and similar stuff. So it runs cooler even under high torque, so that's good. There's also an option for real-time temperature monitoring and smart torque regulation, which work together to maintain the performance of it. Now talking about dimensions, 248.8, 140, 135 millimeters. It's made out of aluminum alloy. The rear cover is made out of plastic where the connections are. Encoder resolution, which I didn't state yet, is 2,097,152 ppr. Maximum torque is 21 newton meters. You have two RGB light strips, and I'm going to mention that one more time when we go to the Moza Pit House. Ports are power, PC, pedals, dashboard, shifter, handbrake, emergency e-stop. Now, when we compare the R21 to R16, when we're talking about visual aspect, you get a much shorter, this, I'll call it a neck for the quick release. The quick release is basically, when I take it out, the same. There is no difference, and that's really good. It functions through all their wheels, and there is no problem. So this part is shorter, and then we have this bulkiness. It doesn't go that wide, but the base in general is much shorter as well. So this brings us to the point where, of course, the screws are at the same point, and I just need to, I think this is actually a bit shorter as well. So I'm talking about the distance from the screws to the main point where the wheel is. And if I remember correctly, when I place my steering wheel like this, I would say that the distance from the screws to the wheel is the same. Maybe a couple of millimeters difference, but that they shouldn't done that in terms of they shouldn't even change that. So yeah, that's good that it stayed the same or a couple of millimeters up and down. It really doesn't matter in that sense. But in general, the whole housing is much shorter. Now let's check the Moza Pit House. So right in front, you have the game force feedback intensity, which you can immediately adjust. But then when we go with more, you have the basic settings, which give you of just regular maximum steering angle, which you can adjust depending on your game styles, soft limit strength, and this doesn't change too much. Hands-off protection is here included as well. We have game force feedback intensity and, well, professional game force feedback intensity as well, which gives you more realism towards the, let's put it this way, towards the game if you're into that part. Then we go with advanced settings. You have loads of stuff here, and this kind of does look a bit similar to the past. I don't think they changed too much to it. Force feedback interpolation, FFB, center dead zone compensation, natural damping, natural friction, and natural inertia, and wheel spring strength. You can really adjust literally everything. I'm not going to go too much into this, but I did change the direct input effect tuning with game spring dampening, inertia and friction just to lower it down a bit, just to get back in the game since I didn't drive that much. Now, for the FFB effect equalizer, you can really adjust loads of stuff here, which you already know, and I'm not going to go into that. You have the possibility to go with a couple of presets that are already here, but you can always go with a custom one. Base FFB curve. Then we have mixed stuff like standby mode, base Bluetooth, base status indicator, volume adjustment, button mapping, and finally, this is the last time I'm mentioning this, base LED. So you have the telemetry, non-telemetry mode, which basically just go into regular static light or whatever you adjust, and you can actually switch it off so it doesn't bother you in any type of sense. If it was a bit brighter in some sense where it just gives you some indication or you have some, I don't know, visibility of those lights, even though you have them on a steering wheel. The Vision one has it. The KS, I think the KS only doesn't have the indication for the RPMs. And I'm looking at the steering wheels now because the GS actually might have, GS has them, and the FSR and FSR2 as well. So yeah, that's a bit different. I'm not quite sure if I didn't change the actual force feedback from the R16 to R21, but, and let's take into consideration the long period of me not driving at all, this kind of goes into the segment that I was really actually fighting with the steering wheel, and that's basically on me. But I did felt slight difference comparing to the old R16 in that certain scenarios while driving. So it gives you 21 newton meters of sustained torque. You get different housing, better cooling, and you have a bit more options to adjust everything, and definitely better effects on some certain scenarios, as I already stated, inside the game, depending on the track, depending on the curves and everything all together. Are you going over the grass, for instance, cutting the corners or anything similar to that? It really does give a bit extra that feel in the feedback while driving and everything else that I mentioned. So it's a bit different video, shorter than I usually do, but since this is a video after quite some time in terms of sim racing, take that into consideration as well. The MOZA Racing R21 Ultra direct drive wheelbase is in the description below, so you can check out all the details that I might have missed something or skipped. And that'll be all for today, guys. If you're new to the channel and this is your first time watching my sim racing part on it, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and click the notification bell. Thanks. Bye bye.